I remember the day I left home like it was branded into my soul, etched in the raw, unfiltered pain of rejection. It wasn't just a casual good luck, nor was it a gentle encouragement to follow my dreams. No, it was the kind of dismissal that cuts deep, the kind that turns your own family into skeptics, mockers, and doubters. They told me I was wasting my life, chasing a ridiculous fantasy of quantum farming, something they'd never even bothered to understand. And I was an embarrassment, a joke to everyone who knew us. At 25, I had poured everything I was into this idea. I believed in a future where plants could thrive with minimal resources, where food scarcity could be addressed at its root, literally, by harnessing the power of quantum science. But the world wasn't ready. My peers, my mentors, even my own family, they ridiculed me openly. I was a charlatan, they said, an over-enthusiast lost in pseudoscience. They laughed behind my back, called me a dreamer with no grounding, a fool chasing fairy tales. One evening, after a long day of professional rejection and whispered doubts, I packed my bags, tears burning my eyes, and drove away from that suffocating small town. I knew then I had to leave the old life behind because no one here believed in what I saw for the future. I was fueled by a relentless fire, a stubborn refusal to let their words define me. I promised myself I'd prove them wrong. I'd succeed, not just for me, but to show that what I believed in wasn't madness. The years that followed were a brutal, relentless ascent. I faced failures, plants that wilted, experiments that exploded, investments that evaporated like smoke. But each setback sharpened my resolve. I studied quantum physics, botany, sustainable agriculture relentlessly. I worked in isolation because trust was scarce and I couldn't afford to be distracted by doubt. I knew I was onto something, even when no one else did. Then came the breakthrough. Plants genetically engineered to operate on minimal resources, thriving in barren soils, adapting to extreme climates, all powered by quantum principles. It wasn't pseudoscience anymore. It was real. My lab experiments turned into pilot projects, then into scaled farms. Food security in drought-stricken regions, barren landscapes turning lush, communities transformed. The world slowly started to listen. And now, I stand here years later, returning home as a different person, an icon in sustainable agriculture, a pioneer who turned the impossible into the inevitable. I've built a company that's revolutionized food production, and I've been recognized globally for my work. But more than that, I found peace in the fact that I never let their words drown out my vision. I proved that relentless faith in your purpose can change lives and landscapes. Today, I come back to that small town, not as the outsider they mocked, but as someone who's reshaped the very definition of possibility. I see their faces, family, old friends, gathered at the town hall for a welcome home celebration. I see the skepticism, the disbelief, and then the moment that shatters every ounce of doubt. I walk onto the stage with a tray of thriving, lush plants, green, vibrant, and growing in the most unlikely conditions. "Mom," I call, my voice steady but filled with emotion. "Dad, you remember these?" I hold up a plant, its leaves shimmering under the lights, roots sprawling in a tiny pot. This is one of the first quantum crops I developed. It's sustainable, resource efficient, and thriving where nothing else could. Their eyes widen. The room falls into a stunned silence. I see my father's jaw tighten, a flicker of old skepticism. But then I see his eyes well up. My mother's face reddens, her hand trembling as she reaches out to touch the plant, as if afraid it's a ghost from her past. "You called me a fool," I continue, voice thickening. "You told me I'd fail, that I was wasting my time. But I kept going. I knew my vision was bigger than your doubts. And today, I've proven that belief in your dreams, no matter how impossible they seem, can rewrite the world." The room erupts into silence, then into applause. My family looks at the plants, at me, at what I've created, and it hits them. The weight of years of ridicule transforming into something undeniable. They see that I am living proof that persistence, passion, and unwavering faith can turn a ridiculous dream into a global revolution. In that moment, I realize that karma isn't just about punishment. It's about justice. It's about the universe balancing the scales, rewarding those who dare to challenge the impossible. I see their faces, shocked, humbled, maybe a little ashamed, and I know that I've not only changed the world, but also their hearts. As the applause continues, I step down from the stage, feeling a surge of gratitude. I faced rejection, scorn, and loneliness, but I never lost sight of my purpose. My journey taught me that the greatest failures are not the setbacks, but the moments when we forget why we started. That even when the world dismisses you as a fool, your unwavering belief can turn the tide. Now I stand here, a living testament that dreams rooted in conviction can bloom into realities that change everything. I hope my story reminds anyone listening that no matter how dark the doubt, how loud the mockery, your purpose is worth fighting for. Because in the end, and as I look into the eyes of my family, those who once doubted me, I see the truth that the greatest victory isn't just in the success I've achieved, but in the redemption of their hearts and in the realization that sometimes the most impossible dreams are the ones worth fighting for. This is my truth. This is my legacy. And I know without a doubt that the future belongs to those who dare to believe in their impossible.